Welcome back to the kickoff. Today we're talking Spurs. We got the man Craig Mitch who did the coin toss at the start of the derby.
Yes.
Craig, what was that like out of interest, mate?
What, the coin toss?
Yeah, what was it like being on the pitch?
I was gassed. And the funny thing is, when I was walking, because they had me waiting by the line while the players lined up and shook hands and stuff, then they went to the centre circle and I saw Raheem on the bench. And I looked at him and I was like, and then he was like, smiling. I was like, he's gone to the ops. I love you, Raheem, but you've gone to the ops. But no, it was good, man. It was funny because when I went up to the ref, he was like, you got the coin? And I was like, no, like, I don't have the coin. Like, you're supposed to have the coin. He's like, okay, we're going to use my coin then. And I was thinking, yeah, like, that'll work. What do you want me to do? Put it at 50p or something? I don't know. But yeah, we did it. Shook Son's hand. I didn't shake Jorginho's hand, which I thought was a bit mad. I didn't even mean to do that. I just forgot.
You blanked Jorginho.
If it was God, I would have shook his hand 100%. 100%.
Craig, you had a bigger impact on the pitch than Son did at the end of the game. That was a bit louder than Son's.
I think it was, I think it was. He was anonymous in that game. But it was a sick experience. Obviously, Arsenal rained on my parade, which I'm pissed about. Yeah. But, no, it was a good experience, man.
All right, so let's get into Spurs, right? Because obviously Newcastle recently played Spurs, Arsenal played Spurs, and they've dropped quite a few points early on. Last season they started on fire. This season, in those two big games, Dan Burns the only player to score for Spurs, right?
Crazy.
There's a bit of an issue here in the final third. Obviously, you didn't play badly against Arsenal, but it just felt out of ideas. What do you think the reason for that is this season?
We're just poor in both boxes right now. So obviously in our defensive box, there's lapses in concentration and one man seems to be a huge culprit, which is, Christian Romero. Like he's supposed to be going through the gears now and becoming like, the centre back that Spurs fans rave on about, and because he's won the World Cup, he's won Copa America, he's played with Messi and great players. We're supposed to see like this guy now, like, because obviously he's a good ball playing centre back, he can score goals, but your main job is to defend, bro. And he's been letting the team down massively. So in the box, we need to improve. But then in the other box, in the final third, we're just not clinical. The creativity is not there. Maddison yesterday was playing the ball sideways constantly. He's supposed to be the person that can, unlock a defense and pick out a sick ball. He's not doing that. Our wide players are not having influence right now. And I think that's our biggest problem, our wide players. Like Brennan Johnson's not been good enough. Timo Werner's just not good enough. Who else is a wide player? We got Odobert, young kid from Burnley. We're expecting him to just perform in a Premier League team like this. And then you got Kulusevski, who's been playing central. Son's probably our only great winger, but he's, you can see he's coming towards the end of his career now. He's 32, going to be 33 probably this season. So it's like our wide players are just not delivering. I'm not really worried about Solanke, but the rest of them, the wide players need to develop. So that's the issue for me.
I thought Son yesterday. I thought Son looked good against Ben White a few times, Craig. I thought there was a couple of times where I was worried about what he was doing with Ben White. But what is he, 33 years old now?
I think he's 32. He's going to be 33.
But surely get him off the touchline soon. He's the best finisher at your club. Surely you want him in the box, not trying to beat a fullback.
Yeah, the funny thing is though, it's like when we play him through the center, it's only good when a team isn't playing in a low block where you can run in behind and create trouble. But teams, and I don't know if it's because we actually do dominate possession or if teams are just actively sitting back against us. I mean, I know Arsenal took that approach yesterday because they were missing their midfield, which is understandable, and they did that very well. But when we're playing a lot of teams now, we're having a lot of possession. Teams are just figuring we could just sit back against Spurs, and it's not because they want to play that way. It's just because they can do it. It's just easy. Our defensive line is super high. So teams are just thinking, we'll just hit them on the break. And if we ain't finding space in behind, Son is basically, redundant in that aspect. So, yeah.
Did any of you think that Romero was fouled for the goal?
There was a push. There was a push, but I don't think they're going to give that.
Josh, come on, man. Come on. Do you know what I'll say? So we got a player, Jakub Kiwior, the Polish, centre-back, left-back guy. One of his first games he played for us season before last was against Brighton. Someone trod on his toe at a corner. He drops to the floor, Brighton score. Now, in those situations, I'm not looking for a free kick. I want my big bad centre back standing up. And I think if you're Cuti Romero, if you're supposed to be the big hard man, I'm sorry, that's we see that every single corner kick, every set piece, players are all over each other. If that's enough to move you at a corner, I'm sorry, that's on you.
I'm just bringing it up because last season, I do seem to remember a lot of Arsenal fans, after a certain Newcastle corner went in, complaining about a push.
So true.
Do you know what I mean? So I just think, do we have to bring this up? Because the Joe Linton push was very much a push, apparently, but now it's fine. Is that how it works?
This is a good point to make though, because like, let's be honest, the dark arts that Arsenal do, I know we're going to talk about Arsenal later on, but the dark arts they do in those set pieces they are a level above anyone else. And I have to say the set pieces is where you see certain teams set themselves apart. And on Spurs' case, like the defending around that set piece, yes, fair enough, you could say there was a small push. I personally don't think that, you'd ever get that as a foul. But the fact that the goalkeeper is worrying about a clash in front of him and not watching the ball, and then the fact that a central defender gets a free header pretty much inside the 6-yard box. I mean, he was basically in the goal, let's be honest, when he got that. Is awful. And to be honest with you, you're never going to be right up there in the Champions League.
Is this on Big Ange though, to put things right that have been consistently problematic? Is he... Because you really want to see evolution from your football manager. You want to see him seasoning, taking the players up a level. And look, this season, you've had 2 hard games in Newcastle and Arsenal, but still, those same problems seem to be there.
No, listen, it's definitely on Ange's head. He's the manager at the end of the day. If you're seeing a pattern of things consistently develop, then you have to address it. That's for you to address on the training ground. Like the fact that we're not hitting enough shots on target or meaningful shots anyway. Do you know what I mean? There was a couple opportunities there. Brennan Johnson had one, sliced it over the bar at the end of the first half. Solanke had one. Like there's certain opportunities where you think you've got to start being clinical in that aspect. And also, like you said, in the defensive third, what are these players doing? Like, these are rookie mistakes. We've conceded so many goals from set plays since the 1st of January this year. I think we might be the most. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot. And Arteta said after the game, we knew we could hurt them with set pieces. Those are the words. And that's because they are good at set pieces and we're equally as bad. But just back to the push. It definitely was a push. Is it something I'm going to be like, penalty? Nah, if it's not given, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, cause like Romero does need to be a bit stronger and he needs to be a bit more street smart. But there was definitely 2 hands on the back that gave, Gabriel an edge, but it's not enough for me. I would have liked seeing at least a little VAR look at it, but it is what it is.
And now, a word from our sponsors. Life for a bald man out here, it ain't always easy, let me tell you. Sometimes after I shave my head, I look like I've been glassed. It really is dodgy with some of these razors. And that is why I'm delighted to announce that Manscaped have created the all-new Dome Shaver. I'm pretty sure they made this with me in mind. They mentioned beautiful bald men on the read, and I'm like, that is me. The Dome Shaver Pro features 5 premium rotary blades for the cleanest, smoothest shave ever with Manscaped. No more nicks and cuts from them crappy disposable razors thanks to their skin-safe technology. The shaver is also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower and keep your sink hair-free. And the magnetic blade head makes cleaning it a breeze. Just pop it off, rinse, and snap it back quick and easy. And with a 9,500 RPM motor and up to 90 minutes of runtime, you'll get a smooth, consistent shave every time. And after you've had the perfect shave, you can give your head some extra TLC with the Dome Soother to keep it feeling smooth and refreshed. The Dome Soother is dermatologically tested and specifically formulated for your scalp. This is alcohol-free and will keep your scalp healthy and irritation-free. So if you want to look your best, you know what to do. Click the link in the description below, go to manscaped.com and use the code THEKICKOFF. That's all one word, all block capitals, THEKICKOFF at the checkout, and you'll get 20% off and free shipping. And a big love to everyone who does, because not only will you look like a handsome bald bastard, but also you're helping the channel, so I appreciate it. But for now, enjoy the video. I'm looking at this league table, lads, and with the way things are developing very quickly with Man City and Arsenal and Liverpool already in the top 4, Aston Villa in 5th, Newcastle in 3rd. You're looking at Spurs in 13th. Now, it's 4 games played. I don't think that the season is, sewn up by any means, but it's taken shape now. At what point does this become like really worrying for Spurs? Like, I feel like they need results like immediately now. This can't carry on like this.
Yeah, if we lose to Brentford on Saturday, then it's gonna be panic stations, I think. And
is the pressure already on Ange though? Like I'm hearing rumours amongst the Spurs fan base that there is some pressure already on him. Like people calling for his head.
I just think it's football, man. I just think it's football. When you're playing in the Premier League, this ain't Celtic, respectfully, and I know Celtic's a big club, but like respectfully, it's not these leagues. This ain't the A-League in Australia. Do you know what I mean? He's not in Japan or wherever he was before. This is the Premier League, the most watched league on the planet, one of the toughest leagues in Europe, even though Man City keep just dominating it. But honestly, in this league, and this isn't just for Ange, if you're at what's considered a top club, you're under pressure all the time. You have to get results in. The moment you have back-to-back defeats at any point in the season, let alone the first 4 games, the spotlight's on you. So it's like, if you go into Brentford now, who are a difficult team, you saw what they did against Man City, and lose, that's 3 losses on the bounce within 5 games. You are automatically under pressure. He knows that more than anyone else. So it's like, yeah, there will be people turning on him, and there'll be people. I'm asking him questions right now because you're not addressing things. However,
I'm looking at, but sorry, mate, I was just saying, I was looking at the 2024 table right now. Spurs are in 8th. So it's not just the case. You can't just look at the Premier League right now after 4 games. I don't think that's fair. But to be in 8th position, I mean, you're only 1 point ahead of Crystal Palace in the 2024 annual table.
That's mental.
That's really scary. Like, if we're talking about general form going down and down, I understand why there are some Spurs fans right now looking at the manager and going, is this guy the guy that's going to push us on and actually get us to the next level? Because you look at, Newcastle, while they haven't looked very good, they're still getting the points on the board, and, still with a very good manager who a lot of people rate. You look at Man United now, even Man United are in 6th place. They've got 4 more points than Spurs in the 2024 table. So, and they're in panic station. So yeah, mate, I understand where the worry is there.
Can I ask Jacob, because obviously you're going up against Spurs season in, season out as an Arsenal fan, wanting to be the top club in North London. If you were to compare this game and the way Spurs played against your lot to previous years, how did it fare? How were you rating them when you came away from the game?
The thing is, Brian, I want to do the laughing thing and I want to take the piss, yeah. But we're here to talk about football a little bit seriously sometimes. And the one thing I'll say, and it's to give Ange a little bit, not to let him off, but the churn at Spurs in terms of players in, players out is massive. Since he's got there, the players he's lost, the players they've brought in, we've mentioned Son's getting older. But the big difference is we used to go there every season scared of Harry Kane. And it's just not easy to replace that. This is me being as sympathetic as I can be to Spurs. It isn't like he's a once in a generation player.
On that point, Jacob, Jamie O'Hara put out a post, and I'm not usually one to quote, Jamie O'Hara, but I did find it an interesting point that I wanted to put to you lads. He basically said, "Give me Aaron Lennon, Huddleston, Keane, Defoe, Van der Vaart over any of these any day of the week. We sign players from Bournemouth, Burnley, Leeds, Forest, and then expect to win, be up there." Basically, his point is we're not bringing in big players anymore. We're trying to pluck players from lower down, and that should not be the type of players that a Spurs are looking to attract. Do you agree or disagree, lads?
Where did those players come from? Where did the Robbie Keanes come from? Where did the Harry Kanes come from? Spurs have never been a club that have bought from Real Madrid, that have bought from Barcelona. Like, I think, and people replied to that tweet, by the way, saying exactly the same thing. They replied to that tweet saying, where did you think those players came from? And he went, yeah, but they were good. It's like, mate, this is the reality. I think
Huddleston came from like Hull or somewhere like that.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know what he's talking about. Listen, this is the problem, and I've been saying this as a Spurs fan, right? And this ain't an excuse. This is just the reality. We don't spend as much money as our peers, so the top clubs in the Premier League. We don't pay the wages that the other top clubs play. We only just broke our transfer fee for Solanke, 65 million this summer. All of the other teams have long spent 65 million. The Man Uniteds, the Arsenals, the Chelseas. That's baby food now for other teams. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, how much was Nicolas Pepe?
70.
Don't remind me.
That's what I'm saying. So we only just
even Newcastle, who, are not, in the big six. We spent 70 million on Isak. So even we had spent more than Spurs before that point.
This is what I'm saying.
Brighton.
So Daniel Levy
is spend big.
There you go. So Daniel Levy, although, if you combine it, it becomes 150 million. It's like 30 million here, 40 million here. These are the fees for players of 10 years ago, bro. Like for good players. Like in this modern day, you got to spend You got to go Selfridges, you got to go Harrods and spend, you know, a premium for quality. Like, we're still in TK Maxx. Like, we are in TK Maxx weekly looking for a bargain, just like climbing through all the rails and then trying to pick out a gem, and then you find like there's a button missing. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, seriously, League's been doing this for years and you can't get away with this. Like, I'm in this stadium again and I'm looking around and I'm having nice food and I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. And I'm like, what was the point in this? Like, if you weren't, okay, we get it, Travis Scott's there, Beyonce, all of this, great. But in terms of the footballing thing, like what actually takes place on the pitch, you have to start pulling your finger out and competing or sell the club, because the reality is you can't compete if you're not going to invest like these big clubs do. That's the problem with it. Look who we've gone and signed during the summer. Burville, good young player, Swedish player. We signed Oderbert. Like, these are all Archie Gray. These are young players. How are we going to go up a level if the other teams are strengthening and bringing in like really good experienced players? There's not enough experience in the team, especially once Son leaves.
So we're not at crisis point yet with Spurs, but I feel like when you start like this, it's such a rough start that you're almost immediately on the back foot, and the pressure is on. Like you say, one more big result like against Brentford where you lose a game like that, then I feel like Ange is mentally on the block then. So,
well, it's Brentford, then Man United, Brighton, West Ham, Palace, Aston Villa in the Premier League.
There's no easy games.
That's not the easiest.
There are easy games in the Premier League outside the promoted teams. Like, I look at the fixtures these days and I'm like, yeah, it's difficult. Like, every team's got good players now.
I'm going to put my hands up now. I think there's a relatively good chance that by Christmas, Ange could be gone.
Nah.
I honestly do.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
But if you look at it, if the form doesn't improve, if the high line remains and they keep playing in the same way, they're conceding loads and loads of goals, I honestly do think that the pressure will be on from the fans, from everyone. So I think I could see it happening. I really could.
Don't you think? Because I'd be more worried if the performances were poor. And the performances haven't been poor. So it's an element of frustration, because you got two sides of it in football. You put in a poor performance, you lose, and you go, oh, we're fucking shit. And then you got the other one, which is equally as frustrating, where you're performing well, you've got the ball, you're causing the other team problems, but there's nothing to show for it. So it's one of them weird ones where, you know, Leicester, we battered Leicester. Jamie Vardy goes up the other end, scores a goal, it ends a draw. Everton is shit, so we destroyed Everton, cool. Then we play Newcastle. Brian, you watched that game. We went to St. James's Park. We were playing like, I was watching it with my friend. We were like, whoa, we're cooking them. Like, 2 goals straight up the other end, counter attack. And Van der Ven didn't play that game, to be fair as well. And neither did Solanke. Cool. They come back and we're playing one of the best teams, not only in the Premier League, but in Europe right now. Let's be real. Arsenal are one of them teams, and they edge us 1-0 with a set piece header from Gabriel. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like when we played you lot in May, they scored 3 before half time. Then we have to go and score 2 in the second half and make it look respectable. At least this time it was like, obviously we don't want to lose to Arsenal, but it was tight. It was a tight game. So if the performances were poor or even mediocre, I'll be like, okay, I'm really worried right now. But I just feel like there's still a basis for them to build on, and it's just defend better and just start scoring. I think once Solanke gets off the mark and other players start chipping in, hopefully a rhythm will start. But it needs to start with Brentford.